Hey, it's Heather Dunlop here with Thriving Woman. And what I want to share with you today is about identity. How do we identify ourselves? What labels do we put on ourselves? And how we get to creating those and identifying ourselves in a certain way. Sorry, my cats are acting up. So, one of the things about identity is how do we get there? How do we get to these statements of I am? And if you're anything like me, you experienced sexual assault. I experienced it as a child for 4 years, from age 8 to 12. And when I was figuring all of it out and how to deal with it, one of the things that kept being said to me over and over by different people, by therapists, by going to groups, by reading books was, you're a survivor. You're a survivor. So I began to think, I am a survivor. I am a survivor. And that caused some different things to happen with me because I took on that label of survivor, that identity, and it didn't sit well with me. And the reason it didn't sit well with me was because I didn't want to be defined by what somebody else did to me, by what somebody else did to me when I was vulnerable, by how somebody took control over my body at that time. So to me, the label, I am a survivor, never sat well. I tried it on. I tried it on a number of times. And it was like Teflon to me, like, get it off. It's like when I put on a cashmere sweater and my skin just breaks out and itches and I turn it to hives. I can't even get it on before I'm ripping it back off. That's what the label survivor was for me. I just couldn't, I just wouldn't wear it. It just did not fit. So I went on a search and I said, I don't identify as a survivor. And I don't want that label to be placed upon me. I don't accept it. So who am I? So I went in search of creating a new identity for myself. Because up until that point, a lot of labels that are placed upon us come from the outside, they don't come from within. And that's how the label survivor felt for me. The identity survivor felt like something that was being placed upon me, and I didn't want it. I was like, no, get this off. Get it away from me. I can't stand it. So I went in search of a quest, and I did a lot of soul searching, a lot of questioning, a lot of searching. And I write in my book that's going to be coming out in the spring, Release, Renew, Revive. That first section, I write about forgiveness. And I said, you know what? This is something that I believe in because I am more important. So I took on the label, I am a forgiving person. And that felt right for me. And then next, the renewal section, I dug in and I went in through hypnosis and I really got into my subconscious mind and I brought everything up and changed how I saw it. And I said, you know what? I'm not a survivor. I'm a thriver. And that felt so good to me. And that's what I questioned to you. Who are you? What is your identity? And how did that identity come to be? Is it something that was placed upon you and you accepted and went with it? Is it something that doesn't feel quite right? Like that cashmere sweater for me, I had to rip it off because it felt so uncomfortable. I couldn't take that label of survivor. It wasn't enough for me. It just wasn't. So, what's your identity? Do you say, I'm not enough? Do you say, I'm not worthy? If you're not sure what your identity is, one way to find out is pay attention to your words and your thoughts. And anything that comes after I am is you revealing your identity to yourself. Do you find yourself saying, I'm not deserving? I'm not worthy of living a better life. Or do you find yourself saying, I am worthy. I am enough. See, those come from our beliefs. See, the way we create our identity is the way we create beliefs. And beliefs all start by there's a certain situation and you have a thought about it. And that thought then creates an emotion in you. And that emotion causes you to take an action. And once you do that process enough, you're exposed to the situation, you have a thought, you have an emotion, you have an action. It then becomes a belief, right? Once it's repeated over and over and over and over, it becomes a belief and it becomes automatic. And then we start to, our brain says, okay, this is the belief, this is how we identify, this is how I'm going to act. Right? So another situation, let's say you have someone who is a smoker. How do they identify? They say, I am a smoker. I smoke all the time. I have to have a cigarette. You know, I get up in the morning with my coffee. I have to have a cigarette. After lunch, I have to have a cigarette because I am a smoker. Well, how can they take steps to not being a smoker? And they might say, I want to quit. I want to quit. I'm quitting. I'm quitting today. I'm quitting tomorrow. I'm quitting bit by bit. I'm just cutting back. And they never stop smoking. Why? Because they identify as a smoker. One of the best things they can do is change their beliefs and change their identity. So instead of saying, I am a smoker or I am quitting, start saying, I am a non-smoker. It's just not something I do. I don't do that. And when you create that new belief, right, when you're in that situation, the morning cup of coffee, you say, well, non-smokers don't have a cigarette after their cup of coffee. So I'm a non-smoker, so I don't have a cigarette. And you go drink your coffee and you enjoy it and say, wow. Your brain says, see, that's what you're doing. So you tell yourself the belief again and again. And this is more than willpower. Willpower runs out, right? Willpower only has a certain shelf life and then it dies off. Beliefs, once they're with us forever. That's why they can come up so many years down the road when you don't realize you had that belief and block you. So to go from being a smoker to a non-smoker, which identity do you want to wear? Because the identity you put on is the one that will dictate your actions. So by saying I'm a non-smoker, I don't smoke, that's just not something I do. You take different actions. You don't buy a pack of cigarettes. You don't go, and have them and take breaks at work to go outside and smoke. Instead, what does a non-smoker do? They say, I'm going to go get some fresh air. Feel better. I'm just going to take a couple of minutes and take a quick walk around the block and get some energy back in my body. So how do you identify? Because that determines how you act. And then it creates that repeating cycle. Okay, if I act this way, then I can create new beliefs that support that even more and get rid of those other beliefs that I no longer want that are blocking me from getting to where I want to go. So do you identify as being a survivor? Or do you identify as being a thriver? And if you're currently a survivor and you want to become a thriver, I can help you work on that. We can work on your belief patterns. We can work on changing your beliefs. Together, we can work on removing those beliefs that say, I'm a survivor, and start creating those new beliefs that say, you are a thriver. Because when you're a thriver, your life is going to be totally different than it was as a survivor. And I want that for you if that's what you want for yourself. I am here to support you. Borrow my belief in you. If that's something you want, borrow my belief and let's get you there. If this is resonating with you and you want to take this a level deeper with me, let's hop on a 15-minute call. You can find my link to my calendar in the very first comment below. Let's hop on a 15-minute call, take this a level deeper, and let's get you on the way to changing your identity and how you see yourself. This is Heather Dunlop. Always remember, you have strength within you.